What the Falcons do, rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, a show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and general sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning. So, apologize for the absence, guys. Hadn't been feeling 100%. Did test. I'm negative for COVID. Just have a sinus infection, but still sound a little rough from it. So, just haven't been posting a lot of videos. And then again, there's not been a whole lot of news going on out there for the Falcons and the NFL in general. So, just today, I wanted to take a brief moment to kind of talk about my playoff predictions at this point. From the NFC standpoint, I've already been through all of the conferences. Nothing really is going to change at this point for me and how I feel about those, except for I will say, since I last made those predictions, Baker Mayfield has gone to the Carolina Panthers, and with that, I think Atlanta firmly moves into the bottom of the NFC South. So I think that Carolina possibly could be competing for number 2 in the division, but I still think they're going to end up number 3 by a couple of games in the long run at least. But I do give them the edge against us in both of our matchups. Now, again, I think the Falcons have the overall worst roster just by pure virtue of cap space in the NFC South. But without further ado, let's just kind of move on. So, you have 4 champions from each division and then 3 at-large bids for wild card spots, and with the number 1 seed getting a bye, and then the everybody else playing basically 3 rounds of playoffs until the Super Bowl. So for the NFC South, I do have Tampa Bay coming out ahead, number one in the division. I have actually Philadelphia winning the East. I have Green Bay sweeping the North. And it's really, really close because of the opponents that they have to play, but it's close between the Rams and the 49ers for the NFC West. But I do have the LA Rams pulling ahead there. So, again, I think that the way it will end up shaking out is Green Bay will get the number 1 overall seed, Rams number 2, Philadelphia number 3, Tampa Bay number 4, San Francisco number 5, Dallas number 6, and I do have the New Orleans Saints squeaking in at number 7. Other teams that are going to be competing for number 7, you'll have the Minnesota Vikings, which could sneak in there. The Arizona Cardinals, I have just missing out with head-to-head tiebreakers there. So there are some teams that are going to potentially get into that spot, and then it just really depends on what happens with the Giants this year. They could compete for a spot. I don't think they're going to. And Carolina, if New Orleans is in the discussion, Carolina has to be, but I just don't feel good about saying they're a playoff team at all. So with that in mind, we'll move over to the AFC, then we'll go through the brackets. So the AFC South is still a crap show. A lot of people still have Tennessee being good because of Derrick Henry. And then also, they still have Tannehill, who I think is on his last leg. I think he's going to get replaced by Malik Willis probably midway through the season. They've lost A.J. Brown. They've lost a fair amount of talent on defense. They still have a suspect secondary. I don't know that they're going to be that good, so I actually have them missing the playoffs this year. But Indianapolis, adding Matt Ryan, you're instantly better than you were last year, and they've done a lot to beef up the areas that they were hurting at, except for they are missing a true wide receiver 1 after losing T.Y. Hilton, though I think Pittman is going to step up and be that for him. Ryan tends to elevate at least one player tremendously. He'll probably elevate that entire team because he's still a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. So I do have Indianapolis winning the South. Buffalo, I think, is a shoe-in to win the East. You have the North with, I think, Cincinnati gets it again, though they're going to be competing with Baltimore for that. And then you have the West, which is easily the most stacked division in all of football right now. And this one has 4 potential playoff teams. I do think the Chargers find a way to squeak out and take the number 1 seed there. And then I have Kansas City finishing second there, Denver finishing third, and the Raiders finishing fourth. But it's all within 1 game of each other right now. Now, is that going to be enough for the Las Vegas Raiders to make the playoffs again? I don't think so. I think Baltimore is going to clinch that final spot. So the way I have it sitting is number 1 overall seed would be the LA Chargers, followed by number 2 Buffalo. They have a harder schedule than the Chargers do this year. Cincinnati Bengals at 3, Indianapolis at 4, KC 5, Denver at 6, and Baltimore as number 7. So going to how I think this plays out from going back to the NFC, I think in the wild card round you're going to have the LA Rams. I think that you're going to have. Let's see here. I think you're going to have Philadelphia beating Dallas in a rematch. So I think Philly goes on, and then I also think that Tampa Bay is going to probably uh, beat out their opponent as well, and Tampa Bay will move on. Then moving on from there, you have Green Bay, who's going to have to play Tampa Bay in Green Bay. I think that Aaron Rodgers will get redemption here, and Aaron Rodgers will move on to the NFC Championship for a third year. And then I think you have. Let's see. Actually, I take that back. They didn't make it to the NFC Championship last year. My bad. They just keep making it to the playoffs as the number one seed, and then they just fizzle out. So then you have, I still think the 2 and 3 seed there. So I still think the Rams are going to come out ahead. So it's going to be Green Bay versus the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. I do think Green Bay finds a way to pull it out in Green Bay in the cold, not in a dome in January football. So I think this is finally the time that Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, they get their final push. They finally make it to the Super Bowl. That certainly could be upended, but I do think Green Bay finds a way to get there. On the AFC side of the ball, so again, Chargers would get a bye. So you're going to have Buffalo versus Baltimore. I think Buffalo wins. You're going to have Cincinnati versus Denver in the way that I have this going out. I actually think Denver upsets them there with Russell Wilson. They actually do make a playoff push. So I have Denver going on. Then I have, let's see here, KC versus Indianapolis. I think KC wins that game, even though it's a road game. And then we come back to the next round. So you would have number 1 LA Chargers versus the number 6 Denver Broncos. That's a divisional game. I do think Denver is going to find a way to beat the Chargers just because I don't know that the Chargers are quite there to take that next step. So I think they're going to lose in the divisional round to the Denver Broncos under the care of Russell Wilson. And a lot of this has to do with the opponents that they have to play as why Denver is making such a push here. It would be not the hardest schedule in the world except for possibly Cincinnati. But again, I'm not sure Cincinnati can repeat what it did last year. And then you would also have the number 2 versus number 5 seed here, which would be Buffalo versus KC. Buffalo gets it done this year with an improved roster and with KC being a weaker opponent than they were the year before. So I do think Buffalo finds a way to win it. And then you have Buffalo versus Denver. Buffalo is going to take this in Buffalo. Buffalo is going to its first Super Bowl in a long, long time. Hopefully they don't go to 4 in a row and lose them all again. But that puts us at Buffalo and Green Bay in the Super Bowl. And honestly, it's going to be a great game. When you look at the roster as a whole, Green Bay has a top 5 defense. Buffalo, when healthy, has a top 10 defense. I don't know if they have a top 5 all the time. They have a top 10 defense when they're healthy. You have Aaron Rodgers, 2-time reigning MVP, versus Josh Allen, a man who has been in the MVP talk for the last 3 years in a row, who's finally emerged and is a younger arm, stronger arm than Aaron Rodgers at this point. I actually think that Buffalo is going to pull it out here. I think Aaron Rodgers finally makes it back to the big game, but I think he goes 1-1 in the big game. And it's going to be 27-23. Buffalo over Green Bay in the Super Bowl. So again, I have Buffalo winning it all this year. It's not necessarily a hot take. I think a lot of people have that possibility this year. I think opponents that could surprise us this year and make a run. I think the Chargers could finally make a run, but I just think they're going to fall apart because of poor coaching at some point in time. Cardinals didn't make the playoffs in this, but again, they certainly could if Kyler Murray stays healthy and when they get their full roster back. So it's going to be an interesting season overall. But that's where I currently, before the season's ever even started, have my playoff rankings projected. So again, Green Bay and Buffalo, with Buffalo coming out on top of the season. So good luck to the Buffalo Bills and good luck to the Green Bay Packers, all the other teams. Falcons, we're sniffing at the top 3 pick here. So anyways, we'll see what happens in the next coming years, but we're not going to sniff a Super Bowl for probably at least another 3 to 5 years. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. So until next time, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Would love to have you hit that subscribe button if you like it. Hit the like button if you appreciate this video. I suspect this is a topic of great debate, so I'd love to hear about it down below. Keep it respectful. And until next time, rise up.